Musical Talk, the UK independent musical theatre podcast.
Hello, welcome to Musical Talk. If you have forgotten my voice, my name is Nick Hutson. It's a pleasure to be back on the podcast. I'm sitting here with a good friend of mine, Andrew. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Nick.
I want to confess, I apologise for not putting many episodes out, but doing a podcast about musical theatre at a time when there is no musical theatre has been very difficult. But Andrew is living proof that things are slowly creaking back into some form of normality, aren't they? We thought we'd talk about the hottest show at the moment, which is always what Musical Talk likes to do whenever we can. Tell us what you've been to see, Andrew.
Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cinderella.
Just Andrew Lloyd Webber's, not David Zippel or...
No, just Andrew Lloyd Webber's.
My chair is very squeaky, I apologise. If you hear a dying mouse or something resembling Sooty from Sooty and Sweep in the background, that's what it is. It's not Andrew, don't worry. I'm seeing it as well. I'm going next week when we release this episode, so I'm looking forward to it. You're a big Lloyd Webber fan, aren't you, Andrew?
Yes, I'm not going to lie.
Yes, well, it's all right.
It's true. And so it was the first performance on Friday just gone. And so the Lord came out at the start.
Jesus was there.
No, the other Lord.
Yeah.
He kind of came out at the start and did a little speech. Because I think it's the first time they'd run the whole show through. Because it's been a very difficult period in terms of getting everybody together and trying to put on a show at all.
Yeah. Were you interested in it because it's Lloyd Webber or because it's Cinderella? I mean, would you go to any Lloyd Webber show if it were new and shiny?
Yes, even School of Rock, which was...
Does this kind of feel similar to School of Rock to you? Same theatre, an Oscar award-winning scriptwriter?
I preferred it over School of Rock.
Okay, why?
Because I think School of Rock was probably for a different audience. This feels maybe it's more for a
adult audience, would you say?
Maybe more of a mixed audience. It felt that School of Rock was probably for slightly younger audiences because of all the kids for a start.
Yeah. It had some lovely stuff in it, most notably the song from Chess. Don't roll your eyes at me, Andrew, I heard that. First of all, let's start with the theatre. Has it been revamped at all since it's been renamed? Is it... because the clever thing about this theatre, I don't want to reveal anything about what happens in the show, but when Cats was there, it can transform in a matter of seconds or minutes, can't it?
Yes, there is a transformation in the theatre.
And did that go down well?
Yes, it did.
Is it the gimmick of the show, would you say? Will people see it? Is it the chandelier moment?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's that whole thing of it depends whether you're expecting it or not. I never saw Cats in that theatre.
No, I did. I was young, and I told this story before. I think I went with. Put your helmets on this, and I'm about to do a name drop here, but Cameron McIntosh's family. So we sat in the moving seats, and I cried because I was so scared. I wasn't expecting the seats to move, and some bits of Cats, especially when it starts and those eyes light up in the dark, it's quite scary.
When does it move in Cats?
In the overture, I think it started to move.
Oh.
But I don't remember the whole stage moving. Apparently it works better if you're watching it, not if you're actually there. But anyway, we won't...
Well, I was in the circle, so I didn't move. I didn't move anywhere.
But I think everywhere in that theatre has a good seat, don't they?
Yes, so even though I was in a quote marks cheap seat, actually it was fine. I could see everything from there.
Now the thing with Lloyd Webber is everyone says it's the best show since Phantom, and of course it's very early on in previews. I'm sure it's been an incredibly stressful time for him to put it on. But let's talk about the kind of social situation behind the musical, because it kind of made... He got in a bit of trouble for saying this is the first premiere of any musical since lockdown, which didn't go down very well with some members of the West End who had put musicals on. No matter how short they ran, they were still premieres. People saying, Lloyd Webber's out of touch and things like that. But talk about the trial that they weren't going to involve themselves in. That Andrew said he'd rather go to prison and things.
That was the thing. Yes, he said he was going to open at full capacity, regardless of social distancing, and he would risk going to prison.
For crimes against musical theatre. No, I'm joking.
And of course, he backtracked on that with another statement about, of course, no, it would have kind of meant issues for our actors and our musicians and the audience and so on and so forth. They were offered to be part of a trial. And that's crazy when you kind of think you've got the Prime Minister going, let's make an exception for Cinderella. On the other hand, it does help give a bit more of a buzz around it. It kind of, I guess, gives it a bit of a boost.
No publicity is bad publicity is good publicity, whatever the saying is.
No such thing as bad publicity.
That's the one.
That's the one.
So, did you feel safe? I mean, what was the procedure? Is this for your first? I'm going to the theatre tonight. I'm seeing Death Drop, which
at the Garrick.
At the Garrick. Is it a musical? Can I talk about it on this podcast?
There are some songs in it.
Good, fine.
Yeah, there are some songs in it.
But that's another episode entirely. What was the procedure? The first time you're back in the theatre since when, Andrew? What was the last thing?
I've seen Death Drop as well at the Garrick. So this is one of the things about what will theatre going be like? So the Garrick did things very differently. So the Garrick were doing almost like an airport style check-in.
Okay.
So when you go to the theatre, you are kind of confirming beforehand that you've not been...
You pack your own luggage.
You've not got this. You pack your own luggage. You've not got any liquids, etc. All those.
You haven't got a temperature. You haven't.
Yes. And they do a temperature check as you go in.
Not asking for COVID jab certificates yet.
None of that. So that's happening at the Garrick, I think, and obviously the masks, etc., etc.
How did you feel wearing a mask in the theatre? Because you wear glasses as well? So Did you forget about it? Was the cheering and whooping muted with masks? Or
well, that's the other thing. I've been to some other productions over the past few months where any whooping or hollering has been actively discouraged, because of spittle.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Whereas they weren't doing that here.
And did you feel comfortable as an audience member with a mask on?
Well, there's not a choice at the moment. So.
I bet some people take them off. I mean, I went to Cinderella the other day and we weren't told to wear a mask. You had to wear a mask walking to and from your seats. It's like a restaurant, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, with Gillian Lynn, they had the NHS test and trace barcodes that the staff had outside as you were lined up.
Yep.
To kind of check in. It's wearing a mask. You're really kind of encouraged to kind of take your seat as soon as possible and kind of go in and sit down, get out the way. They're social distancing the seats. I had a bit of drama because my seat had an X on it.
Ooh.
An X, which basically means don't sit in this seat.
You sat on your X, did you?
X did mark the spot for me, so I did have to double check. It was like, am I definitely in this seat? It's definitely in this seat.
So is it one seat empty next to you and then people, or?
It varied. I think it was like one or two seats. There might have been some 3 seats. But it...
Did you like that?
It's what it is. It's what it is. It was nice to be back in a theatre. We'll see how things develop over the next few weeks.
Because, the tube is getting busier and crowds just feel strange to me. I always feel very self-conscious when I'm not in an entirely full theatre. But if it's a cinema, I absolutely love it. I hate being in a cramped cinema.
Well, I think being back in a cinema, I mean, it's not unusual to be in a cinema and there be like, a dozen people in there.
Yeah, especially the rubbish you see.
Well, however, it's not like we've been to a cinema, say, for a brand new Marvel movie, first screening out that would normally be packed. Because
I went to The Conjuring 3 and that was busy. I don't know if it's the same for you about theatres, but we've all had, streaming at home and we've been able to not sit in a room with people looking at their phones in the dark. Was the audience well behaved? Did you notice the kind of... Well, I guess they're all theatre fans,
They were well behaved, and I think they were all very receptive. I think there's people have missed it. We've all missed it.
So do you think, I mean, you really enjoyed Cinderella, didn't you? Let's talk about the show. Is it because you miss theatre? And it's the first kind of big show you've seen?
That might help, I think. Is it the best show I've ever seen? Absolutely no, absolutely not. Is it very
It won't beat
solid?
Mamma Mia, the live immersive experience, will it?
No, it won't beat that. It's very solid. It's very solid. And I think you know more or less what to expect from a Lloyd Webber musical by this stage.
So I'm obviously...
And you know whether you're pro or anti. So
Yeah.
if you're not a Lloyd Webber fan, then why would you wouldn't go, would you?
Well, I'm not a big Lloyd Webber fan, but then how many times did we see Love Never Dies? 5, 6 times?
It was a lot of times,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
And, you haven't seen Phantom and you never will. That's...
I'll get round to it. Well, I was always like, I'll get round to seeing that. Now I'll never see the brilliant original.
You'll never see the
Will I?
fantastic
it'll be
original.
The pretend,
touring,
the
reduced
pretend
original.
brilliant original.
Or Les Mis. I mean, did you see Les Mis as well?
Yeah, I've seen Les
Okay,
Mis.
so you've seen the original Les Mis, so that's one thing you can... But, I mean, the thing with Andrew Webber is if this flops, he'll blame it on something, won't he?
We know that pattern of old. So if things go awry, it's of course, if this hadn't happened, then
Because he blamed the rubbish that was Stephen Ward on his testicular cancer, didn't he? And the fact that he was struggling there mentally.
But I saw Stephen Ward 3 times, and I will defend it.
Fair enough. And Tim and
Forever.
Foster are massive fans of it as well. Do you remember we went the first night to that as well, and that was the night the roof at the Apollo thing fell in, and that was the
Yes.
bigger story.
Well, yeah, because that was much more. That was quite a serious event, Nick. That was,
The curious incident of the roof in the night time.
but people were. Nobody died though, did they? I'm trying to remember, but were people seriously injured?
I can't remember.
It was pretty dramatic, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
pretty grim.
But I remember seeing Stephen Ward, and the atmosphere wasn't great. I mean, the theatre was half empty or half full, depending on what your outlook on
Probably a
life.
harder sell. I think if you take a subject like Cinderella, okay, people know, or people have an idea of what to expect from that. Yeah, you run the risk that people kind of think, oh, Cinderella's a bit like a panto, maybe like Aladdin. Had a little bit.
Because people
of
calling
that
it
as well.
people calling it bad Cinderella. Obviously, because there's the song, which I quite like. Actually, the songs I have heard. Have they released all the good songs, or are there still some belters to come?
There's some comic numbers that are not out there yet,
Good.
which work very well in performance. I don't know how well they'll come across on streaming, kind of out of context.
And that's good because I like David Zippel's lyrics. He did Hercules. He also did Woman in White, and he did City of Angels as well. Very, very, very funny and clever lyricist. Were the songs getting laughs then? And is the book funny? Tell us about the book writer, the Oscar-winning book writer.
Have you seen? It's the same person who's behind Promising Young Woman. If you've seen that film,
Or was that the thing on Sky?
I think it did come to Sky.
Yeah. Yes, I've seen bits of it. That was very funny, yes. And quite hard-hitting as well. So what does this... I mean, you can... let's have spoilers. What does this Cinderella do that's Andrew Lloyd Webber
Christine dies at the end.
What's this... Lloyd Webber's touting it as Cinderella as you've never seen her before. How different is it to something like Soho Cinders or, these other... And there's another musical of Cinderella coming to Netflix or somewhere like that. What's this doing that's different?
Well, you can't have a meek and mild Cinderella
In her own little corner, in her
own little corner, in her own little, yes, all of that. You can't have a meek and mild, and kind of the prince coming in to rescue her from this life of servitude. So they kind of have to. They do put some interesting spins on things.
Does it get
no
like
pumpkin?
Okay,
There's no pumpkin. There's no carriage.
okay.
I don't want to spoil much. If you're expecting kind of magic tricks and horses, then there's none of that.
There might be flying bus though.
There's no flying bus.
There's
There's no mice.
no. There's no three fairies. There's no. Is there fairy? There is fairy godmother, and you said she steals the show as well, didn't you? And the step
Oh,
thieves.
she's amazing. I think what they do with the godmother.
Yeah. Let's get some cast names. Let's give some shout out.
It's
Andrew's
very,
brought the
very good.
programme. Very good, Andrew. Almost like he knew we were going to be doing this podcast today. I've missed this, Andrew. Thank you for sitting
Almost.
down with me. Is it Victoria Hamilton Barrett? Is that her name?
She's the stepmother.
Yeah. I think she was in We Will Rock You, if my memory serves me correctly. Listeners, my brain is so empty from musical theatre knowledge. It's been hard to to kind of think about musicals again. So it's nice to sit down and do this.
And the godmother is Gloria Onitiri.
Okay. And they get a comedy song, or they get big standout moments. What kind of?
Well, I don't want to spoil it too much,
Okay.
but she's not. Let's just say the godmother is not a fairy godmother in this. There's no magic.
Okay.
And it's almost.
Is it gritty and
It's almost
urban?
malevolent.
Okay.
She's almost malevolent, but there's something. I suppose
Is there a villain?
stepmother. Yeah.
Okay.
Stepmother's a villain. The stepmother, it's just so camp. It's
Right.
just, and it's
So do you think the pantomime link will be difficult for British people to see? And how well would this show? Is it set in England? Is it set in France? Is it set in America? I mean,
set in France.
Okay.
And so there is some. I know you like theming.
Yeah.
So there is some theming at the theatre. So there's a map.
Bellevue.
Of
whatever it's-
Bellevue, yes, where it's set.
Bellevue Rendezvous.
There are little bits like that as you kind of come in to kind of put you into that world, which is a nice touch.
And how would it translate in America on Broadway? Is it very British idioms in the writing, or is it very? This could be anything.
Oh,
Anyway.
you could move it
Okay.
you could move it anywhere, couldn't you? Any accent, doesn't matter.
And that's what Lloyd Webber does. That's things like Phantom of the Opera, Les Mis, all French, of course, and maybe that's the trick. Write a musical set in France, and it will be a hit.
Although they put in the brochure about like, oh well, yeah, you think it's French, but actually it dates back to Greek times.
Okay, well, yeah. But do you think they're intentionally making it? This has to work here. It has to work there. It has to have crossover appeal. It has to.
Yeah, because you've got things like you've clearly got like a bit of Disney parody
Okay.
in there as well. So the opening number is a bit like that.
Yeah, someone said it's like a mixture of Who Will Buy and Eastwick Knows, which is from Oliver and the Witches of Eastwick.
And a little bit like the opening number in Beauty and the Beast,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
It's got a fun title, Buns and Roses, which I think is quite funny. You said it felt long, though.
That's the downside of not having been in theatre for a long time. You can lose your stamina.
It's probably only an hour and a half long.
You lose your stamina. You kind of think,
Yeah.
oh,
Imagine
man,
how the actors feel.
When can I go to the loo? Oh no. So yeah, it
There's 29 songs or something in it, aren't there?
there's a lot of songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it, sorry about the barrage of questions, Andrew, is it a book musical, or is it sung through?
No, it's book musical.
Okay. And is it rip-roaringly funny?
It's got its moments. Yeah, as I said, it's solid is the word. Yeah, it would. What would I put it on a par with? I think it's things like
School of Rock, it sounds...
no, because I enjoyed it more than School of Rock. It's like something you'd put on a par, maybe with The Beautiful Game.
By Jeeves?
Don't
True
like-
musical comedy that Andrew Webber's done.
Don't like By Jeeves that much. And
I mean, is it
what's the other one?
irreverent?
Whistle Down the Wind.
Okay.
It's that kind of.
Is it irreverent and self-knowing, and because some people say the thing with Lloyd Webber is he has no sense of humour. So I think with School of Rock he tried to prove that he does have a bit of a sense of humour. Is he doing the same in this?
Lloyd Webber has no sense of humour. So where does that come from?
I don't know. Just what some people have said. But you think he does so with his music? Do you?
You can cat teeth and Caesar salad.
Well, I am looking forward to seeing it. I know you said I probably won't like it, but I do like David Zippel's lyrics, and I don't mind the songs I've heard. There's a bit of a slushy ballad which wasn't very interesting, which the Prince sung. Is there a Prince in this?
Yes.
Yes, I should hope so. Is it Cinderella? Was that a good song? Is it just Lloyd Webber being Lloyd Webber?
Yeah, maybe a little bit of that. Yeah.
Okay. But he knows what people want, doesn't he? So he kind of puts that in. Might be a bit of a Disney reference as well. Tell me about the set and you said there's no illusions. So what was the scenography like?
At times it maybe did look a little bare, I think, but they've got various revolves.
Projections
on
as well?
Stage. No, they've got various revolves.
Okay.
So actually there's a lot of... God, they must have to concentrate so much just to not kind of...
Fall over.
Or end up in the wrong place.
Did you see...
But the nature of the stage is that you don't have huge set pieces. But that kind of works. It's fine.
Yeah. Did you ever see Groundhog Day?
No.
That had the most amazing revolve system I've ever seen in any show. It had, I think, 6 revolves all interlocking with each other, and they could move freely away from each other. So one revolve could move into the other revolve. And that was very, very, very complicated. Of course, Lord of the Rings as well had a very complicated rising and lifting revolve system. So yeah, I mean, it sounds quite cool, and you are selling it to me. I just
Without too many spoilers.
exactly, and of course, the thing we have to mention is how is lovely Carrie Hope Fletcher? Is this the role she was born to play?
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah, we can't leave her out.
Yeah.
No, she's kind of spot on. Kind of
She goths up, doesn't she?
She does goth up. Yeah.
Is that her transformation?
She does. I'm not going to reveal about the transformation scene.
Okay.
As she becomes the
bad Cinderella.
Well, she starts off as the bad Cinderella, but which is that it's for you to decide which is the bad Cinderella and which is the good one.
Okay. So is it trying to do what Into the Woods did and kind of looking at fairy tales and completely twisting expectations without preaching at us like Into the Woods does?
It does, because you have to do something different with that story. You have to, because it's been done so many times.
Is it 2 evil stepsisters we have, or just the one?
You got 2 stepsisters.
Okay. So that's good. So I wonder if that's a pantomime thing, or if that's actually... They don't chop their toes off to make the slipper fit, do they, or anything like that? No, that's good.
There's nothing of that nature. But then, like, before we went into the second lockdown, one of the last things I saw before that was Cinderella in Panto.
Where was that?
And that was in Windsor.
Okay.
Where I think, this might be a false memory, but I think they managed to somehow write out having any ugly sisters and just getting the stepmothers to do all the work. Because
That's the best bit of the pantomime.
I know, but I think they had to
It's usually
reduce the cast.
It's usually Matthew Kelly and his son doing it very well.
And again, that's thinking about kind of when shouting out was discouraged, and it was kind of stamp your feet instead, or clap, or...
And just looking through the programme, Andrew, so carry on talking. Just seeing who... So it's directed by Lawrence Connor, who does a lot of the kind of new musicals of old classics. So he did the new Miss Saigon, he did the new Phantom, and the new Les Mis. This is his kind of first big thing, I think, his first new original, as far as I know, of this scale. Was it well directed, to your knowledge?
I don't know if I ever really pick up on things like that, in fairness. I think usually I'm just involved in watching what's going on.
Yeah. If it doesn't bother you, it is well directed.
Yeah.
And so let's see, I always like looking at these kind of... Well, there's no automation, so they do have a revolve, so there must be. So
there's no robot horse like Love Never Dies.
Oh, we love the robot horse, didn't we? And the disappearing carriage and all that kind of stuff. Good. Well, that's Cinderella playing at the lovely Gillian Lynn Theatre, which is a nice tribute. What else do you have planned, Andrew, now things are slowly happening? Do you have anything planned? Anything you want to see?
This was the only thing I had booked. Trying to think what else is coming up.
It's difficult trying to find things, because I am seeing some shows, but they're all single seats left. I don't know. That's because of the algorithm that's kind of letting people buy tickets when socially distanced. But it's a bit of a shame because I mean I want to see Hairspray. Do you want to see Hairspray as well?
Well, I always say it's more the opposite issue that I've experienced. So if there are things that I've wanted to go to, maybe not with you. Trying to find single seats I found more difficult because some shows might be only selling in pairs. But I think it kind of makes me a little bit more open-minded to see things I wouldn't usually see because there's less choice. So, the things. I'm trying to think things which kind of keep cropping up in terms of promotion. So I keep seeing things about Be More Chill, but I don't know anything about it. I think we're going
to be talking about that soon on the podcast with Michael. I know I bang on about it every time I do an episode, but I'm very excited about Back to the Future. It's my kind of show wrapped up in my kind of show. I'm seeing Six again because I enjoy Six and it's a simple evening out. It's only an hour and a bit long. I'm also seeing Cinderella, and I'm seeing the Death Drop tonight.
Six is something I never got round to seeing, so it feels like okay.
Six is like made for the pandemic, though, isn't it? Because it's a cast of 6, the band is 6, and it's a small show, and I very much enjoy it. And going with someone who hasn't seen it yet, and I'm also going back to Heathers, which I also enjoy. It's a very
Heathers I'd quite like to see. Yes.
So lots of stuff coming up. It'd just be weird to be in a theatre again. It's kind of the whole experience. I'm looking forward to experiencing. And Andrew, I'd like to see Hairspray, so I think we'll organise that because I do enjoy Hairspray. Get to see Michael Ball in a dress, which is always good. Andrew, thank you very much for talking about Cinderella.
Thank you, Nick.
I'll be on again to share my thoughts. Until then, go to the theatre, please. Support it, enjoy it, stay safe, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you. Bye. For more information about Musical Talk, please visit our website at musicaltalk.co.uk. You can email us at feedback@musicaltalk.co.uk, listen to past episodes on iTunes and YouTube, and follow our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.